Merci tout le monde. Thank you. As you've seen, the House has just voted in favor of moving C7, the Medical Assistance in Dying Bill, to the Senate. I'm pleased that we have cleared this hurdle, but I'm disappointed that this is happening later than it should have. Nous savons pourquoi. Dans les derniers jours, même les dernières semaines, les conservateurs ont travaillé à bloquer la progression du projet de loi. Ils n'essaient pas de l'améliorer, mais de le bloquer carrément. Leurs actions ont prolongé la souffrance de Canadiens et de Canadiennes qui attendaient de recevoir l'aide médicale à mourir, en plus de démontrer leur mépris pour la Cour supérieure du Québec. Le Sénat aurait dû avoir plusieurs semaines pour examiner le projet, ce que l'acharnement des conservateurs a empêché. Si le jugement de Québec prend effet sans la protection offerte par C7, ce sera parce que Aaron O'Toole a permis aux membres de son caucus de mépriser la volonté du Québec, des Canadiens et des tribunaux. On s'en souviendra. The mark of a leader is the ability to bring divergent points of view together to do the right thing. Instead, we saw attempts to stop this bill from moving to the Senate, all while people out there continue to suffer. I sincerely believe that the Senate can fulfill its legislative duty and pass C7 before December 18th. I have faith in the members of the other place and their willingness to put in the hard work necessary to give C7 the appropriate scrutiny. I will certainly do my best to work with them in order to achieve this goal. I know time is now short, but the opportunity is there to get the job done, and we certainly cannot be blind to the consequences of not getting the job done. Comme je l'ai déjà dit, notre gouvernement fait tout en son pouvoir pour que ce projet de loi soit adopté avant la date limite. C'est maintenant beaucoup plus difficile que ça aurait dû l'être, mais c'est encore possible. Je crois que le Sénat peut accomplir son devoir législatif et adopter C7 avant le 18 décembre. Et je vais travailler avec eux pour arriver à ce but. Évidemment, je suis conscient de l'échéance de la Cour. Nous n'allons pas traverser le pont avant d'arriver à la rivière. Nous n'y sommes pas encore. Je vais maintenant prendre tes questions. I will now take your questions.
So I'll now take questions, starting with questions on the phone. Quick reminder to reporters, one question, one follow-up. Nous allons maintenant passer aux questions, en commençant par les questions au téléphone. Un petit rappel, une question suivie par journaliste. Opératrice, avons-nous une première question?
Thank you. The first question is from, la première question est de Joanna Smith from the Canadian Press. Please go ahead, à vous la parole.
Hello, can you hear me?
Certainly can.
Okay. First of all, what do you think prompted the Conservatives to finally relent and let this come to a vote?
I'm not quite sure. As you will have noticed, there was a fair degree of support for this bill in their caucus. And I don't know. I said, as I said in my remarks, and as I said yesterday in the House, it was a question of Mr. O'Toole's leadership and being able to pull together a minority in his caucus that seemed to want to defeat the bill entirely, as opposed to trying to better it through the normal parliamentary process.
And I have a follow-up, if I may. Is it fair to ask the Senate to whip through a bill that is literally about life and death in just 1 week? And how confident are you that they'll be able to do it?
Well, look, it certainly would have been better had this bill been there earlier. There's absolutely no question about that, and the Conservatives will have to answer for that. That being said, there is a week. The Senate has done a pre-study, I know, in committee. They have raised serious and legitimate questions, which I hope they will be able to answer during the debate, and which certainly I will make myself available at any point to answer any questions that they have, as well as members of our team. But it is difficult, I understand, but certainly not impossible.
Opératrice, prochaine question.
Thank you. The next question is from, la prochaine question est de Alfia Raj de HuffPost Canada. Please go ahead, à vous la parole.
Hi, thank you, Minister. Can you walk through maybe some of the amendments that the Conservatives brought forward that the Liberals, along with the NDP, voted against? Because it seems like even, I'm taking for example, one of the Green amendments that was on gathering of information about the people requesting assisted dying, that, almost routinely the Liberals and the NEP voted in opposition, whereas can you give us some of the examples of the amendments that were proposed and why the government was firmly opposed to them?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the question. Look, for example, amendments to reinstate. Remember what we did with the bill was respond to the Truchon decision and create a non-end-of-life regime, but also in the end-of-life regime, which covers the vast majority of these cases, stage 4 cancer and that sort of thing, where people are really just trying to end their lives with dignity, with their families and friends supporting them. There was a 10-day waiting period, which was claimed to be a safeguard. It didn't turn out to be a safeguard. And since 2016 and up until now, it turned out to be quite the opposite. And made practitioners, doctors, nurses, families of people, friends of people who have gone through MAID since 2016, told us repeatedly, get rid of the 10 days. All it does is prolong suffering. There was an amendment brought in about that, and that clearly wasn't serving any purpose. And so we stood against those kinds of amendments. Most of the amendments brought were things that either, frankly, were really not. I'm not going to say bad faith, but we're really there just to delay and obstruct and to recreate the bill that was passed in 2016, which we're moving away from for obvious reasons, or things that should be done in the study. Remember that there is going to be a larger parliamentary review. As soon as this bill is passed, we'll begin to put that together, looking at very difficult questions, and so. Larger questions like data gathering and that sort of thing are better framed in that parliamentary review.
I'm going to try to put two questions in my sub-question. Do you feel that some of the arguments or some of the amendments that were put forward were basically done for political reasons and that you in turn responded politically? And if I can tack on another little one, I'm mostly wondering if you regret that the first version of this bill was not as comprehensive as the bill that you are now bringing forward.
Let me answer the first part of the question with a line that I take quite seriously, and I often respond to colleagues in this regard from every part of the House, which is I'll never take an amendment made in good faith not seriously. So I will take seriously any good faith amendment, and that applies here, I think. With respect to the second question, look, you all know that I voted against the legislation in 2016 because I felt at the time that that legislation was unconstitutional. When I became Minister of Justice, I had an obligation to uphold the law as it was, which I did, but then a court found it unconstitutional. And we found not only the reasoning persuasive, but we realized that in a delayed process, more people would suffer. And we could use this opportunity to amend the bill in order to meet the decision of the court and to implement things that there was a large degree of consensus upon based on the experience that we had in 2016. So look, I can't go back into the past and redo what was done, but we took a situation I took a situation as minister that was presented to me, and I reacted, I think, in the best interests of Canadians, always with a view to reduce suffering and to give people choice.
Opératrice, prochaine question.
Thank you. The next question is from, la prochaine question est de John Bryden from the Canadian Press. Please go ahead. À vous la parole.
Hi, Mr. Lametti. I'm wondering if you are concerned or worried that some of the Conservative senators may try to do the same thing in the Senate, i.e. drag out debate and prolong this way past the deadline that their caucus colleagues did in the House.
Well, I'm definitely worried. There's no question I'm worried. If the bill doesn't pass in time, we could face a situation where the parts of the law, the previous law that were struck down in Quebec, are no longer valid. That means Quebec won't have the guidelines of a non-end-of-life regime. End-of-life medical assistance in dying will be possible without the benefit of the safeguards that we've put in, without the benefit of the guidelines that we have put in, without the benefit of giving practitioners the security to know that what they are doing is legal or to stop them from doing something that is illegal. And secondly, Quebecers and the rest of Canada won't have the benefit of the amendments such as Audrey Parker's amendment that people are actually waiting for out there, and we know they are, and so that will be lost. And then there's the whole question of mental illness in Quebec, which will be again part of that uncertain. In theory, one will have access to medical assistance in dying in a non-end-of-life scenario, with the sole underlying condition being mental illness. So these kinds of voids are very serious. And so I'm very worried. And I'm asking senators to really put their shoulders to the wheel in good faith, and let's try to get this across the finish line.
If the Senate amends the bill, and that's a distinct possibility given what we've heard out of senators so far on this, would you have to recall the House to deal with it?
You'd have to ask the House leader that, but I'm pretty certain that we would have to recall the House for another vote.
Operator, next question.
And
Go ahead,
no
Joan.
further questions registered at this time.
Oh, okay.
Maybe if there is one more question from the previous reporter, she wanted to go on something.
If you would, well, the next question from Joan Bryden. Please go ahead.
Sorry, I got all my questions in. That's okay. I was just going to, I think, ask you about when you finished your last question on whether or not, if there were to be amendments, given the nature of this bill, would that then involve yet more potentially lengthy debate in the House of Commons if they were to change it in some substantive way at the Senate?
Yeah, that's a fair point. We'll cross that bridge if and when we get to it, I guess. And I would be working very closely with the House leader at that point.
So that's all the time we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Merci.